Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to discuss raid selling. Is raid selling legal? Is it something you can do? And ultimately, how does it affect the community? So let's take a look and a little bit of a discussion. So what is raid selling? Well, raid selling, quite frankly, is pretty straightforward. You can see here, this person in the services chat is offering the last two bosses of the current raid, the Omega raid, the Omega Forge. They're offering the Head of the Curve achievement, Dimensius, and they are offering the bosses for different prices. For example, full heroic, right? Saved 450k, full heroic unsaved 800k. You can pay for the last two bosses 200k. You can guarantee yourself the achievement for the little price of 100k. Raid selling is essentially characters who, or players or guild groups who essentially are offering you the ability to clear the raid mainly at heroic difficulty for the price of gold. The raid selling can extend to other content. So for example, dungeon runs, delves. I've seen people even offer tier 11s, but basically it's where other players will complete the content for you and all you have to do is rock up. So why do people sell raids? Well, it's pretty simple. Lots of the times guilds will sell raids. Very competitive guilds will sell raids through either alt guilds or their main guild, depending on how professional they want to look. And one of the reasons is to restock on raid supplies. Flasks and potions and things come very expensive, especially when you're trying out Mythic 1800 times. So selling a couple of heroic runs where you have incredibly well geared, manufactured, amazing gear, and you're able to kind of clear it easily does help. Of course, the second aspect is just gold equals stuff. Having lots of gold means you can craft kind of gear that you want. It means you can buy mounts off the black market auction house. You can do just lots with gold. Gold is always a currency that players want. It is completely understandable that players will need that gold. And if you sell a raid run to like 8 players, it's 800k. Sounds like a lot for maybe a single player to have, but in the grand scheme of World of Warcraft, especially if it's a guild doing it, you need millions of gold if people are going to start dealing on the auction house or the black market auction house or buying mounts, etc. Any of the gold sync mounts. So it's very obvious why it's being done. On top of that as well, selling obviously also equals, of course, the mighty and powerful game time that you can buy, the WoW token. So selling runs, easy way to buy yourself game time, do a couple runs, get a couple tokens, able to play the game, and make your life a lot easier. So now, is it legal? Well, ultimately at the end of the day, yes, it is legal. There's nothing really stating that players cannot sell raid or delve or dungeon runs. At the end of the day, there's nothing illegal about it, as long as they are not offering them for real money. So as long as they're not directly offering them for a dollar value, then it is very easy for players to sell runs, because ultimately at the end of the day, if players earn the gold in-game and they want to spend their in-game gold on buying themselves completion, status, armor, mounts, etc., is entirely on them. It is a transaction between two players with no RMT involved. It's not maybe the most amazing or exciting transaction, but it is perfectly valid in the scheme of the TOS of World of Warcraft. So how does it affect the community? So what effect does selling raids and dungeons and delves actually have on the community? Well, it's pretty simple. To be honest, it is a neither here nor there open outward effect. There's two super important things to understand. One, the hardcore raiding community is very, very, very small. It is a incredibly small community of World of Warcraft. The Mythic Plus community, same thing. The Delving community, probably a little bit larger because of the accessibility, but these are very, very, very small components of the World of Warcraft community. These are endgame goals that a lot of players have, but they don't reach. Selling runs creates accessibility to that kind of revered area. Ahead of the curve may not mean as much as some people think it does, but it still means something. It's a feat. If you look at my account, for example, only really since I've been taking, doing this channel, playing with Warcraft quite extensively, have I started getting ahead of the curves. And you can see that I'm still missing, certain bosses and certain seasons, and that's because they are difficult to obtain. So they require you to either pug or do things. And it's the same with Mythic Plus rating. It's the same with maybe delving to a lesser extent. So it is completely understandable as to why players might do it. Because the communities are so small, I don't think it has an overarching effect, honestly, that much on the larger player base. If 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, even several thousand people buy themselves a raid run, does the larger population of World of Warcraft really care or is affected by it? I don't think so. For me, it ruins more the experience of the player. A lot of the times buying the achievement ultimately means that most players won't partake in the raid, and I think that's kind of the biggest missed opportunity. Those who buy the clear tend to deny themselves ever really at least trying for it, and for me that's maybe the biggest negative effect, is ultimately it does remove a portion of willing participants or potentially willing participants into the raiding realm, the Mythic Plus realm, etc. With that being said, ultimately at the end of the day, players are allowed to do what they want. So if you want to spend your money on it, can't really say anything. I don't think you're necessarily a bad person or you're disabling the community. But for me personally, I do think it reduces the pool of willing players a little bit. And I think it would be better if players were not necessarily able to do it, or if it was at least a little bit less openly in demand or openly advertised. I think it would maybe help. Maybe there's some restrictions they could run, like you have to at least, I don't know, complete it on LFR to even head into normal, or maybe complete it on normal to even try heroic. People will probably work around that. They'll just sell 2 separate runs, but maybe it creates some kind of barrier to entry. I don't know. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's one of those gray areas of World of Warcraft where the only person you're really hurting when you do these things is probably your own experience, more so than anyone else's. It does, however, obviously have an effect on the economy of World of Warcraft, and that is something that's quite tangible because of how the economy works. So there is definitely that factor to consider. But at the end of the day, people will make money however they want to make money. I mean, we have goblins with millions of gold, so it is what it is. But yeah, that would be my honest consensus about it. But hey, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. And yeah, give me a shout in the comments down below. But that's it from me. See you guys next time.